I'm Dr. Sri Banerjee, core faculty for the College of Health Sciences and Public Policy at Walden University. And it is with great honor that I present this accepted poster for the Society of Epidemiological Research, one of the premier research conferences within the country for epidemiology. Um, Along with me, I had collaborators. One was May Badoon, who is a who works for the National Institute of Health, and then Dr. Jagdish Kupchandani, who works with with New Mexico State University. So let's go ahead and get started here. Right on the left talks about how cancer affects and causes 10 million deaths in 2020. So this already shows the gravity of what cancer is capable of doing. Um, Data shows higher rates of tobacco use, which is a given, alcohol consumption, and excess body weight within sections of the LGBTQ community compared to heterosexual and cisgender individuals. So data shows higher rates. So there's higher rates among among gay and lesbian individuals um, than than individuals that are not. Why? The question is, why is it hypothesized that people of sexual minority has more deleterious effects from cancer? Um, so delayed diagnosis is one, and then post-treatment disparities. So delayed diagnosis means that once the cancer spreads, once the malignancy spreads and metastasizes, this is when everything is caught. So delayed diagnosis is that they're not being caught of cancer on time. And this is more true for people in sexual minority status. By the way, the title of this is Synergistic Effect of Cancer and Sexual Minority Status on Overall Mortality. So first, I'm going to just show you a very simplistic diagram that I put for every poster, and a lot of my visuals is one I made here. So this is cancer and all-cause mortality. So we already know that cancer causes um, higher rates of mortality, 10, namely 10 million deaths per year. But what we don't know is how sexual minority can affect the relationship between cancer and all-cause mortality. So is it that individuals that are LGBTQ community, are they receiving more cancer-related deaths, or individuals that are in heterosexual minorities? Do they um, have an effect on cancer all-cause mortality? How did we do this? Well, we went into the NHANES, National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, and looked at individuals that were between the ages of 20 to 59, and then linked it to the mortality data. And then so they were asked a couple questions about this. And so 1999 to 2018 were the years that were covered. So let's go ahead and decipher what is going on here. And I'm going to have to change the screen here. But if you can see here, this is a very important sort of diagram that I put together. So what are the root causes, social and structural determinants that create sort of a all these all these middle aspects. So what are the root causes? Discrimination and stigma, laws and policies, minority stress, socioeconomic inequities, and data gaps. Let me focus in on minority stress. So minority stress can be chronic stress from stigma, prejudice, and violence. Um, so this is kind of like the allostatic load, the concept of that. And then data gaps, limited collection of sexual orientation and gender identity data in healthcare and research. And then From root causes are barriers across the cancer care continuum. So access is one, like I said, communication barriers, lower screening rates, complex care needs, psychosocial barriers, and financial barriers. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but you have root causes, you have barriers across the cancer care continuum, you got impacts on cancer outcomes, and then examples by LGBTQ population. So risk factors and screening needs depend on anatomy, exposures, and behaviors, not identity. Um, so lesbian, bisexual, and queer women, they have higher rates of smoking and alcohol, and I said that previously. Barriers to routine screening. What are the key cancer concerns? Well, breast, cervical, lung, and colorectal. Among men, higher risks of HPV infection and anal sex, lower anal cancer screening rates. So not only is there higher preponderance of certain types of cancer, but also low screening. So anal cancer and HPV related, and colorectal cancer, lung, liver. Um, so what are the solutions? Affirming care environments, improve data and research, improve access to screening, policy and insurance reform, address social determinants, and support survivors. Let me go back to looking at the smaller version. Um, so one thing to keep in mind is that how to numerically from run models and to show that sexual, and what we saw is LGBTQ plus individuals have higher cancer related mortalities um, than individuals that were heterosexual individuals, um, and heterosexual individuals and cancer related mortality. So we were comparing individuals that were heterosexual versus homosexual individuals. And just uh, zooming in, of course, cancer related mortality 2.5 times, and then no cancer. But people that were heterosexual and had cancer, they were 44% higher likelihood of experiencing mortality than those individuals that were not LGBTQ. Um, so basically, if somebody was of sexual minority status and had cancer, this increase. This is very so they had 4.5 times of likelihood of cancer related mortality than people that had one or the other. Um, so definitely there's a difference there. So 4.46 times when people had both, when for sexual minority and cancer. So what are some of the things I already mentioned that here in the cancer disparities? But sexual minority status individuals suffer from have more discrimination and stigma. Structural inequities pertain to cancer and all-cause mortality. So this is kind of the same thing that I went over previously, but kind of showing it a different way. So um, we found that as expected, cancer is related to all-cause mortality. That's given. These findings fundamentally shift how we view cancer. Rather than biological disparities, the disparities um, in cancer outcomes and mortality are primarily driven by a combination of healthcare barriers and elevated lifestyle risk factors. And again, the smoking and things like that is more experienced by sexual minority individuals than individuals that are not. Cancer, so sexual minority, I made this. Discrimination, delaying diagnosis, healthcare access. So this is what is going on. A lot of the ones that are of concern are cervical, breast, colorectal, anal cancer screening were appropriate. So just to sum everything up, what did I go over today? I went over some of the different components that sexual minority individuals are experiencing, um, and that having being sexual minority and having cancer has a much higher likelihood of mortality than individuals that weren't of the sexual minority community, but just had cancer, um, or any one of the risk factors. And this might be due to discrimination, barriers to access healthcare, and of course, some delays in diagnosis, ones that are delaying diagnosis of cancers, but after it has metastasized, that's when they're caught, unfortunately. All right, so I hope this has made some sense. Thank you.